This is my Puerto Rican food diary, a montage of everything I've eaten across 3 different trips to the island, meals I never grew up with, but that somehow still felt like home. This isn't just about food, it's about finding the pieces of myself I didn't know were missing. Growing up multiracial in the Bay Area was like living in between worlds. I'm half Chinese, quarter Puerto Rican, quarter white, and my parents divorced when I was so young. I was primarily raised with my Chinese side of the family. Don't get me wrong, I love my family deeply, but there was always this feeling of not quite fitting in. In Chinese culture, you're supposed to be quiet, submissive, listen more than you speak. Let's just say I was the complete opposite of that. I was loud, outgoing, always the one cracking jokes at family dinners. My cousins were lighter skinned than me, more soft-spoken, more accepted, I guess. I felt like I was constantly too much, too loud, too tan, too different. In my Puerto Rican side, that felt like a mystery wrapped in a question mark. It was really just my grandpa, my dad, and my uncle. And my uncle I have no association with. My grandpa grew up in Hawaii, completely disconnected from his Puerto Rican heritage. He didn't identify as Puerto Rican until his later years. Back in his day, you had to choose black or white. And even though he wasn't white passing at all, he tried to fit into whatever box felt safer. I am a quarter white. My grandma grew up in the Bronx, then moved to some random state a few years later. She was half German, half Swedish, so that makes me 1/8 German and 1/8 Swedish. Literally a mix of everything, but I never really connected to that side either. My grandma was truly the sweetest woman I have ever met and the most accepting though, I will say. The only glimpse I had of Puerto Rican culture growing up was during the holidays. My grandpa would drive to Richmond to get pasteles for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I remember thinking they were just these weird little packets wrapped in banana leaves. I knew they were Puerto Rican and I knew they were pasteles, but I still didn't know fully what Puerto Rican food was. I had no idea I was eating a piece of my own heritage. So I got rice, pork sausage. I don't even know what that is. I just asked for whatever was most popular, so we're about to try it all. It was like really popular. It's the guava cheesesteak that they recommended. Although I've heard of this, but I've never actually had it. Living in the Bay Area, I think aside from my own family, I didn't know any other Puerto Ricans. It wasn't until I moved to New York that I even realized how disconnected I was from this entire side of myself. Suddenly, I was meeting Puerto Ricans everywhere, hearing Spanish in the streets, seeing flags, and I felt like, wait, this is supposed to be a part of me too? So I booked my first solo trip to Puerto Rico, and honestly, I was terrified. What if I didn't feel connected? What if I was just a tourist with a Puerto Rican last name? What if I was too disconnected to ever truly belong? But then I had my first alcapurria, this crispy golden fritter filled with crab. I had never even heard of it before. I'm standing at Kioscos de Luquillo taking this first bite, and it's like something clicked. This wasn't just food. This was history. This was my history. And the bacalaitos, these thin, crispy cod fritters that are basically edible gold. I watched the vendor make them fresh, the batter sizzling in the oil, and I thought about my grandpa. Did he eat these growing up? Did his mother make them? All these questions I never thought to ask, and now it was too late. Eating at this place in Rincon, it's called Palmante. This is their menu. The fried batter shrimp. Oh, it comes with 6. This is 100% pork. Going up to this restaurant in Aguadilla called Desecho. We're gonna see what's up with it. I got the mofongo. This was $18.95, which I feel like is so freaking expensive for mofongo. Every meal felt like a discovery. Mofongo, how did I not know about mofongo? This beautiful tower of fried plantains, so different from the Chinese dishes I grew up with, but somehow felt familiar. Like my taste buds were remembering something my mind had forgotten. The funny thing is, I kept comparing everything to Chinese food. The way Puerto Ricans use garlic and onions reminded me of my grandmother's stir fry. The communal aspect of eating, sharing plates, arguing over who gets the last bite, that felt like every Chinese family dinner I've ever been to. Puerto Ricans, everyone looks different, you know? No one really looks the same, so it's hard to tell who speaks Spanish and who doesn't. I take pictures of my food, record these videos, and I felt like a tourist because really only tourists come and do these things, but little did they know I'm just trying to learn more about my own culture. My second trip was different. I was more intentional, more open. I started seeking out the foods my research told me were authentic Puerto Rican experiences. That's always really important to me wherever I go. Rather than being in tourist areas or tourist traps, I want to see how people live their real life, what they're really eating, what they're really paying. Because no one has time to pay $18 for mofongo. Like, be for real. Pasteles, the same dish my grandpa would drive to Richmond for, but now I was eating them where they were born. Watching abuela's hands fold the masa, understanding the labor of love that goes into each one. This is the place, Casalta, that I'm going to for brunch. I FaceTimed my dad while eating them, and for the first time, we talked about my grandpa's Puerto Rican side, not as a footnote, but as a real part of our history. He even told me how he grew up in San Francisco with his abuela and things that she would teach him. I started noticing how food was bringing me closer to understanding both sides of my heritage. The way Puerto Ricans gather around food reminded me of Chinese hot pot nights, loud, chaotic, full of love. The way certain spices made me nostalgic for flavors I'd never actually tasted before. This is some really runny oatmeal. People who don't like oatmeal, that's fire. I need to know how they make it. We have made it to Cafe Mallorca. I'll just show you my food in a second. I also started embracing how my mixed heritage made me experience things differently. This shit is gas. What the hell? I'd eat pernil and think about chasiu. I'd have tostones and remember my Chinese grandmother's radish cakes. I wasn't choosing sides anymore. I was building bridges. But my third trip, something had shifted. I wasn't trying to prove I belonged anymore. I was just belonging. I ordered in Spanish without apologizing for my accent. I asked vendors about their recipes. I let myself be loud and curious and excited about everything I was eating, which is why I feel so much more confident now to share this side of me, to share this story and bring more connection to this part of me. I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. I didn't grow up with the music, the history, the inside jokes. But when I sit down at a table with arroz con gandules and pernil, I don't feel like an outsider. I had to take Michaela to Bebel's because, yeah, nothing else needs to be said. I just feel full, and not just in a literal way. Okay, well, yes, full literally too, because I'm definitely the type to eat 3 servings of arroz y habichuelas and go right into the tres leche like I have no self-control, because I don't. I've started learning to cook some of these dishes at home. I haven't made homemade sofrito yet, and I definitely know that my abuelita's was a lot better than mine, but we're getting there. I'm building my own relationship with these flavors, these traditions. And when I mess up the garlic to onion ratio, I laugh instead of feeling like a fraud, because life just doesn't need to be that serious. Food has been my way in. It's how I've started reconnecting with a part of myself that always felt distant. It's how I've started healing the feeling of being not enough for one culture and too much for another. And as I get older, I think about the future. When I have kids someday, I don't want them to feel that same disconnect. I want them to know where they come from. I want them to sit down and know how to wrap a pastel in a banana leaf. I want them to know that Puerto Rican food isn't just delicious, it's powerful. It's history, it's pride, it's resistance, it's love. Food became my bridge to understanding that being multiracial isn't about choosing sides. It's about building connections. I am Chinese and Puerto Rican and white. All of those things can coexist in one person on one plate in one story. My kids, when I have them, they're going to grow up knowing about pasteles and dim sum, sofrito, 5 spice. They're going to know that their great-great-grandfather chose to hide his Puerto Rican identity to survive and that their mother chose to reclaim it to thrive. So this is my Puerto Rican food diary, not just a collection of meals, but a map of how I found my way home to myself. And trust me, it tastes even better than it looks.